Hey everybody, the Super Beta 400 here, back for a different kind of video. In this video, this is the first in 4 videos I'm going to be doing right now. This is the first in a series of I give my said memories on a certain franchise, and also as I introduced in my Mortal Kombat versus DC review, I'm going to be doing reviews from different angles, of course, because I kind of don't like sitting in the chair, so you won't see a lot of videos in the chair. You'll see videos from different angles. I'm right here on the bed, which you can't see. I'm right here on the bed, but sometimes I'll be here on the bed or I will be on the floor. And of course, as you can see by the title, this is my Eternals Champions um Eternals Champions memories. I've been dying to play this video game again, and thanks to a retro video game website, I finally got a chance to play this video game again. I've always wanted to do a video on this awesome underrated video game series. And like I said, in this series, not only am I going to salute and praise like you see in my Doug Salute series, not only am I going to salute the series, but I'm going to give my history with the series and what I like from the series and what I wish from the series in the future. And of course, I'm going to start off with how I discovered. I'm going to start off with how I discovered this series. How I discovered this series. I discovered this video game franchise with the original Eternals Champion video game in the early 2000s at FuncoLand. I saw this video game for about $2 at FuncoLand, which will later become GameStop. Um, um, I was really looking. Of course, the Sega Genesis was always one of my all-time favorite consoles, and I hated it when that generation came to the end. And when that generation came to the end, the Sega Genesis became obsolete. I was forced to upgrade to the PlayStations and the N64. You don't know how happy I was when I discovered this FuncoLand, which had video games from the following systems, and that's the Sega Genesis, the Super Nintendo, and the Sega Saturn, which just not the Sega Saturn, but the Sega Dreamcast, which had recently ended. You know how long they had all this stuff for low prices too, and I was looking for several video games, and one of the video games I got was Eternal Champions. I put that in my Sega Genesis console back when that still worked. My Sega Genesis console, and man, I have been hooked ever since, man. I've been hooked ever since. I played this game all the way up until my Sega Genesis stopped working, man. I've always been a huge fan. I've always been a huge fan. I've always been a huge fan of Eternal Champions for its large and colorful cast of characters, awesome graphics, in-depth fighting engine, and its insane difficulty, and finally, its unique story. I'm going to start off with the difficulty before I get back to the story. The difficulty is what keeps me coming back to this game. And to this day, even though I'm a more experienced player now than I was back then, I still can't beat this game. And this game is even harder now because I don't have a console to play it on. I got the chance to play this video again on a retro video game website with a keyboard, which is even harder to play than with a controller. So when I had it on the Sega Genesis, I could at least get past the first four characters, but here on the keyboard, I can't even get past. I can sometimes get past the first character, depending on who I'm playing as. Or who I'm fighting. I can sometimes, but I always lose. And of course, in this game, one of the things I can't stand about this game, if you lose in this game, you go back down the ladder. You got to go back and fight the first person again. you go back up on it. If you lose in this video game, and I've watched several gameplay playthroughs here on YouTube, and read more about the game on Wikipedia. Read more about the game on Wikipedia, and you only get one chance to fight the boss of the game, and that is the eternal champion. You lose, you only get one chance. You lose to him, you get a bad ending where he talks about how disappointed he was that you couldn't beat him, that you couldn't disappointed with your performance. If you beat the game, he'll congratulate you and he'll give you your life back. But you only get one chance to fight him, and of course, he isn't playable. He isn't playable. That's the insane difficulty. Now let's get on to one of the other things I loved about this game, and that was the unique story. Most fighting games have the main characters have a boss character. Most have a boss character wants to who either wants to conquer, who either wants to destroy or rule the universe, conquer or rule the universe, rule the universe, and is a bad guy. One of the cool, unique things about Eternal Champions is that, well, at least in the first game, there are no good or bad guys. It's people fighting for a second chance at life. That is unique. That is unique. That is unique from other fighting games where it's mostly a bad guy holds a tournament, and while all the characters have their own reasons for entering the tournament, is usually focused on a specific or a couple of main characters, and they progress through the tournament. That's the story. In this story, in this complex and convoluted and awesome story, the according to Wikipedia, the omniscient being, the eternal champion himself, the supernatural being, the eternal champion himself, talks about how to keep balance in the world, several characters who all died unexpectedly, who are inherently good, have been chosen to participate in a tournament, but only one can win the tournament. Only one can win the tournament and get their life back, and that the person who wins will get their life back, and all the other members of the tournament will live out their deaths as planned. Will live out their deaths as planned, and of course, so that's one of the cool, unique, and of course the boss himself, the eternal champion, is not evil. He actually summoned these people here because they have the chance to do greater good. He's a good guy himself. The main character himself, the eternal champion. Now I'm going to talk about that was the insanely complex story that I loved about the game. The music is awesome. When you listen to that intro theme, that that theme is awesome. Every time I play this game, I always watch the opening story and listen to that theme and watch a couple of the computer battles, man, because that theme song is just awesome. Awesome. And then of course the gameplay modes. Lots of cool gameplay modes in this. You got the normal one player, the normal enter the contest mode, which is the one player tournament mode. Then you have I think it's a multiplayer tournament mode. I rarely ever play this mode. Then of course you have probably my favorite mode on there, and that's battle room mode, where you can pick your character and your opponent, and you can change the difficulty settings, the speed of gameplay, the time limit, and the button configuration, everything. And you can play. This is the only mode I can actually beat. This is my favorite mode in the game, besides the regular enter the contest mode, with the regular single player enter the contest ladder mode. Then of course you also get a practice mode. And you also get a story, and you also get a practice mode which has three practice modes. One which is my favorite, sparring mode, where you actually learn how to play the game, and two modes where you practice a spear challenge and two other challenges. I never ever played them, but it's cool that they offer more in this video game, offer more for you in this video game. And of course, you get the storyline itself, just in case you didn't want to, just in case you skipped the beginning. You get the storyline itself. Then of course you get the character biographies of the characters involved in the storyline. And of course, the fighting is awesome in this game. All the characters have their own unique fighting style. All the characters have their own unique fighting style. You see several different styles in this game, from taijutsu and ninjutsu. Taijutsu and ninjutsu. That's the fighting style performed by the main character, Shadow Yamato, who is the main character of the game. You got Savati, and a combination of Savati and surf and acrobatics, which is performed by Jetta Marks. Jetta Marks, I think that's Jetta Max or Marks, something like her name. The acrobat character. Then of course you got a mixture of gladiator fighting and capoeira from Trident, the Roman gladiator, green Roman gladiator type character. You got Kimpo Karate from the bounty hunter Jonathan Blade, one of my favorite characters in the game. Then you got R.A.X. Coswell, the cybernetic kickboxer, the Muay Thai kickboxer. Then of course you got Midnight, of course, who is a alchemist who becomes a vampire, who uses some kind of stick fighting. Then of course you got the warlock who also uses a staff and can do spells and stuff. Then of course you got Slash, the brawler type, the caveman Blanca Honda Zangief brawler type character. Slash, who's a caveman with a club. Then of course you got Largen, who is a gangster, another brawler type character. Larson. Yeah, so like I said, and of course you got the and of course you got the Eternal Champion himself, who uses several different styles. So like I said, awesome in-depth fighting engine. The only thing I don't like about the fighting engine is what I don't like about what I don't like about any of the fighting games from that era, and that is I do not like the two D side scroller gameplay. I prefer 3D arena style combat seen in Tekken, Virtua Fighter, Soul Calibur, the professional wrestling games, and the MMA and boxing games. I prefer in Power Stone, and now the current Naruto games. I prefer 3D arena style combat. However, I prefer the story of a lot of these 2D fighting games more than I do, let's say, the 3D. A lot of the 3D fighting games. That's just me. So like I said, awesome gameplay, awesome graphics. The graphics look like the SNK and Capcom games like Street Fighter, the SNK and Capcom games like Street Fighter. It also has several other stuff. Several other stuff from the SNK games like the taunting from Art of Fighting, and the power meter bars. The power meter bars to limit the use of spamming moves, special moves. And special moves are super hard in this game. I've performed several moves by mashing several buttons together. That's how I perform several moves. And you perform taunting by pushing the punch buttons together. Um, 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 the next thing I want to talk about in this game is the characters. The characters. Like I said, my favorite characters gameplay wise are Jonathan Blade, the bounty hunter, R.A.X. Coswell, the cybernetic kickboxer, Trident, and Trident the Gladiator. These are my favorite characters gameplay wise. Story wise, along with those three characters, Shadow Yamato, the ninja, the female Kinoichi ninja character, who is actually the main protagonist of the game. the main character of the game. It was the most popular of the game. So popular, she got a spin-off of her own. She got a spin-off of her own, I think called Experts, something like that. And 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 um and 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 the other character of the video game, and of course Jetta Marks the acrobat character. Jetta Marks the acrobat character, and those and those five characters, and of course the eternal champion himself, the eternal champion himself. These are like my five favorite characters, gameplay and story wise. Gameplay and story wise, and that's the only other thing I hate about the game. The eternal champion, the non-player eternal champion is not playable. Is not playable. Is not unplayable. Even though to tell you the truth, if I could play as him, I wouldn't play as him that much anyway. Because boss characters like him, they're the obstacle I have to overcome. So I like facing him more than actually playing him. But 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 the that's the characters in the game. Like I said, a large, colorful cast of characters. You got Shadow Yamoto, the ninja character. You got Jonathan Blade, the bounty hunter. You got R.A.X Carswell, the cybernetic kickboxer. You got Slash, the caveman. Mitchell Midnight, the alchemist, vampire hybrid type character, the vampire type character. You got Xavier, the wizard or warlock type character. You got you got you got um Largan, the gangster type character, and Trident, the gladiator type, type character, character, and of course, like I said, as the boss, you got a spiritual being, you had a spiritual being who is the ultimate force of good, and that is the eternal champion himself, and eternal champion himself, and of course, like I said, I mentioned the theme music. The all of the stages, especially the battle room and Trident stages, and Shadow Yamoto's stage, which is the top of a building, which is the top of the building. Awesome, beautifully designed stages. Like I said, awesome music. I even heard from YouTubers. I haven't seen this on Wikipedia, but I heard from YouTubers that Bone Thugs and Harmony, one of their beats appears in this game. They did some kind of sample from this, or I think they sampled something from this game, or a beat of theirs appears in this game. I heard this from YouTubers. I haven't seen this on Wikipedia. Um, this video game, was Sega of Japan really didn't care for this video game, and they stopped this video game after the sequel, Eternal Champions from the Dark Side, to promote Virtue Fighter, which they felt this game was preventing Virtue Fighter from becoming popular. But this video game, according to Wikipedia, back in '93, was hugely popular. So popular they spawned a comic book, and not only did they spawn a comic book, there were talks about other stuff, like a cartoon series, But Sega, of course, just really didn't like this game, and they wanted to promote Virtue Fighter more. And this video game, which was set up as a trilogy, was stopped after the second game. And speaking of that sequel, I'm going to talk about that sequel right now. I've never got a chance to play the sequel, but I've seen the sequel. I've read about the sequel on Wikipedia, and I've seen the playthroughs of the sequel here on YouTube. The sequel was released for the Sega CD, which is some kind of device you connect to the second model, the Sega Genesis, which I own, and you put it in, this was like a CD format featuring a C or cartridge format. It was a special kind of video game format that has 3D graphics. That has 3D graphics. I think this was created to compete with the Ultra 64 thing that was used to play Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo. Um, it has this game right here was awesome, man. I hope to download a ROM of this game or maybe actually purchase a full functioning Sega CD of this game and play this game. But this game right here is awesome. While virtually being the same as the old game, a lot of the characters have upgraded moves. Shadow Yamoto has an upgraded costume, and the video game has digitized graphics like Mortal Kombat, and during the intro scene where they show you how each character died, and they show you the ending where they show you how each character died, and the ending sequence is featuring the Eternal Champion and the Dark Champion, which is a new evil champion, who's entered the tournament and also hitting other participants in the tournament to prevent the contest from being completed, to prevent the chance of being a winner. Are now those scenes featuring those characters are now rendered in full-length 3D motion capture graphics, just like the Killer Instinct games from the arcade and Super Nintendo console. Are rendered in 3D graphics. Are rendered in 3D graphics. 3D graphics, and of course there are several new characters. I don't remember all the characters, but I remember the ones I like. There was Chin Woo, who is a Bruce Lee lookalike who uses the monkey style. He seems to be inspired by Bruce Lee and the Monkey King. There is I think his name is Chad Dawson, something like that, who is some kind of loner guy in a trench coat who is a gambler. There is Ramses, an Egyptian guy. Then there's Raven, a voodoo guy. Then there's a green special forces army type guy. I can't remember his name right now. Then of course, I mentioned the Dark Champion himself, the main antagonist of this game. And of course there is the worst character in the game. The Senator, who according to Wikipedia is supposed to be a parody of the people who criticize the violence in the video game. This character right here is the worst thing in Eternal Champions. See, Eternal Champions is a really serious game, and you got this game who, in my opinion, just makes this some kind of cheesy comedy. This is the worst character. This is the worst character in the game. There's of course a good and bad ending. Of course, you get the good ending for the characters. You play it. You get a text on what the ending was, depending on who you beat with. Then you see a CGI ending of the Eternal Champion and the Dark Champion. In this game, I think a couple of the characters are available from the start, but according to Wikipedia, in this game, the Eternal Champion and the Dark Champion and the others can be played with a secret code.
Edward, your father wanted to get you a car more than anything. Now maybe he couldn't afford to spend much money, but he was willing to give you all the time in the world.
Secret selection. That's what you get for the. You have to perform a secret code to unlock the other characters. But like I said, this was an awesome game, and story-wise, it's more convoluted than ever. Well, according to Wikipedia, most of the characters supposedly became friends during the outcome of the tournament, which is another thing I want to talk about. The game also has fatalities, or as they call this game, overkills. But they're just like in Mortal Kombat, they're non-canon because, like I said, in the ending, it's revealed that some of the characters become friends, and since the contest and since the tournament is featured in the second game, I take it that no one won the first tournament. no one won the first tournament, and they're holding the second tournament. This time, the Dark Champion has entered the tournament. The Dark Champion has entered the tournament too. And I guess we would have found out. Well, I guess we would have resolved the game in the third game, which was never released. They also released two spin-off games. An alternate game featuring the main character Shadow Yamato, the female Kanoichi character, featuring her in an alternate story of her not dying in the early, not dying in 1993, and instead getting revenge on her superior who killed her by pushing her off a building, pushing her off a building, and forming a vigilante group. Then of course you got another game which featured Larson, who of course didn't die back in 1922, and is doing the same thing. Shadow's game was cool, but Larson's I really don't care much for. I really don't care much for these games because they're like their alternate world what if things, but they're great additions to the franchise. And finally, I'm mad that, like I said, Sega, they got rid of this game for Virtue Fighter. Virtue Fighter was fun, but that was just a generic 3D martial arts game. It wasn't really good until like the third game, Virtue Fighter. It wasn't really good until like the third game. I'm mad that they couldn't have both of these games out, and they dropped this game for Virtue Fighter. They dropped this new complex game for Virtue Fighter. Like I said, this video, I want to see more from this video game. My opinion, because Sega didn't stay with games like this, in my opinion, is why they're not really around anymore. They're now just making now just making software and a third party developer for other gaming consoles, which is what they are. Which is what they are now. Like I said, I'm disappointed they didn't make because this video game was born to be a movie, a cartoon, an anime. They made a comic book, which was, oh yes, the comic book. The comic book was awesome. It features Shadow Yamato as the main character, and it appears to be set after the tournament because Shadow Yamato and all the characters are trying to take down. Throughout both of the comics are trying to take down her superior. It ran for like 40 pages, 48 pages in two issues with 48 pages each. 48 pages each. I would like a brand new comic book series, a cartoon series, and a movie, and a brand new video game, a brand new 3D video game similar to the vein of Street Fighter 4, Killer Instinct, and Mortal Kombat. That's what the ideal Eternal Champions would be. And also, they probably wouldn't do this because a lot of people will hate this, but I love them to add 3D movement. I do not like the 2D side scroll. I'm still pissed that Mortal Kombat went back to that, and Street Fighter is still that several years later. But like I said, just an awesome game. I'm so happy I found a retro website to play this awesome video game again. And sometime in the future, I may get another Sega Genesis, or may get my Sega Genesis fixed to play this awesome video game on a console again, or may get a Wii before they stop selling them and purchase the game on the Wii Virtual Console, which is the only way you can play this game now. Because another thing that disappoints me with Sega, they like to release their games in various complication packages, and this game is never included. The only way you can play this game is on the Wii Virtual Console. This video game is never included in classic Sega Genesis game computations. But like I said, just an awesome video game. One of my all-time favorite video games. One of the most underrated video games of all time. The difficulty is what probably turned people off of this game. This kept me coming back to this game. I'm still playing this game today. Alright, the Super Vader 400 out. Killer Instinct is next.